You know, in the big, busy cities of India, there's a quiet little competition happening every day. On one side, you've got these shiny symbols of progress, the modern supermarket. Its doors slide open automatically and you walk into these wide, cool aisles, with shelves stacked just right, and the steady hum of the fridges in the background. It's all about size, money, and how global everything's become. Here, it's all barcodes, digital payments, and experiences that are planned out for you. This is what 21st century shopping looks like. A big machine built for speed and lots of choices, run by huge companies and supply chains that reach all over the world. But then, tucked away in a quiet lane, is a surprising competitor, the simple neighborhood Kirana store. It's small, sometimes a bit crowded, and feels like it's from another time. Things aren't always perfectly arranged. The lighting is warm, not harsh, and the fanciest tech might just be a calculator. By most business standards, this little family shop shouldn't stand a chance. It doesn't have the buying power, the huge stock, or the fancy tech of the big stores. It looks like it should just be a small part of retail history. But somehow the Kirana store doesn't just survive, it actually does really well. Even now, when online shopping and super-fast delivery apps are everywhere, promising groceries in just a few minutes, this old-school way of shopping just keeps going strong. It's still the heart of so many communities, always there for millions of people, every single day. This kind of staying power really makes you wonder, especially if you're interested in business or marketing. It makes us rethink what it actually takes to succeed in a tough marketplace. The Kirana store's story isn't about refusing to change or just holding on to the past. It's actually a great lesson in the basics of business that never go out of style. It's like a real-life case study, showing us that the best advantages aren't always the ones you can measure in square feet or write down on a balance sheet. If you want to know why this little shop keeps doing so well, you have to look deeper and find the real heart of marketing. A heart that's often forgotten when companies just chase size and automation. Let's talk about something you hear a lot in business: scale. Big companies often believe that getting bigger is the main way to win. Most people think that the biggest players always come out on top, right? They believe success comes to those who can buy huge amounts at once, run their business with the smallest possible costs, and use technology to reach as many customers as possible, all at the same time. We're taught that being efficient is the most important thing, and that collecting lots of data with fancy software is the best way to understand what customers want. Supermarkets and big online stores are perfect examples of this way of thinking. They're built on huge amounts of money, smart logistics, and the idea that everyone should want what they offer. Their goal is to serve everyone, everywhere, all at once. But here's the thing. Chasing scale like this can actually create a big weakness. When you try to build a system that works for everyone, you often end up with something that doesn't feel special to anyone. The whole experience becomes just a transaction, not a real relationship. Customers turn into numbers, basket values, or just another line in a chart. Big companies spend a lot on customer relationship management systems, trying to automate how they talk to customers and make it feel personal. But honestly, it can feel a bit empty. Getting a birthday email from a computer or a product suggestion from an algorithm just isn't the same as a real, warm human connection. This is where the Kirana store has a surprising advantage. Even though it doesn't have fancy technology, it makes up for it with something much more important: real care for its customers. The Kirana owner doesn't need a computer to remember you because he keeps those relationships in his mind and his heart. He's the original connection maker, powered by real human warmth. He sees every customer as more than just a sale, but as a long-term relationship to be cared for. He naturally understands the value of keeping customers loyal for years. His focus is on building trust and loyalty, so people keep coming back again and again. He isn't just selling a packet of sugar today, he's building trust as a key part of the community. That's what brings customers back tomorrow, and the day after that. This kind of marketing can't be copied by an app or a self-checkout machine. This deep human connection is something money can't buy, and no computer can fake. It shows us that in real life, the best businesses aren't built on spreadsheets, but on trust, service, and truly understanding people. You know, when you look at these two types of stores side by side, it really makes you stop and think, what are we actually trying to do with marketing? Is marketing just about selling more stuff? Or is there something more to it? Is it just a bunch of tricks and tools to get people to buy things and boost sales? Or is it all about numbers, market share, ad budgets, and conversion rates? Or maybe is there something deeper at the heart of it all? When you see how Kirana stores keep going strong, it kind of shows that maybe we've gotten a bit too caught up in the technical side of marketing. Maybe we've forgotten what really matters at its core. We know all the how-tos, but sometimes we lose track of the why. So maybe it's time to rethink what marketing is really about. If you ask a Kirana owner, they'll tell you, marketing isn't just about selling. It's about helping people. It's about serving others, not just making a sale. It's what we call Seva, really caring about your customers and wanting the best for them. Every little thing, like remembering which tea someone likes or letting someone pay later if they're short on cash, is really just an act of kindness and service. It's not something you learn from a textbook, it's just how they do business, with empathy and respect. It's a natural way of working, built on understanding and caring for people. This idea of Seva is actually the secret behind building something really valuable, a strong brand that people trust. Big companies might spend a lot on ads to build their brands, but a Kirana owner builds his brand one friendly chat, one small act of kindness at a time. Every time he helps someone, it's like putting a little more trust in the bank. Over time, all these small things add up to a lot of goodwill. That goodwill helps protect the business from competition. And honestly, that's the best kind of marketing, when your customers tell others about you because they trust you. It's real word-of-mouth support from people who care. So when we see Kirana stores outsmarting big brands, it's not just an interesting story, it's a chance for us to rethink how we approach business and strategy. It reminds us to look past just the quick sale and focus on building real long-term relationships. We should ask ourselves, are we only using data and logic, or are we also bringing in real warmth and understanding? That's really what this whole journey is about, learning how service and trust are still the most powerful tools any marketer can have. You know, if you really look at what makes the Kirana store so special and lasting, it's all about a principle that goes way beyond the usual business talk. It's called Seva, or selfless service. This old idea, which means putting others first, isn't just a marketing trick for the Kirana owner. It's actually the way they run their whole business. It changes the whole point of the shop from just selling things to really helping people in the community. Where a supermarket might see you as just another customer, the Kirana owner sees you as a neighbor, maybe even like family, and someone they want to build a real relationship with. This way of thinking changes everything about how you interact at the store, turning a simple purchase into something much more meaningful. You can actually see this philosophy in action every day, in lots of small but important ways. Like when the owner opens the shop a bit early, just so a mother can get milk for her kid's breakfast. Or when he patiently waits while an elderly customer slowly counts out their change. Or even just asking about someone's family, or celebrating when a child does well in exams. These aren't clever tricks to make you come back. They're just real, honest ways of showing care. All these little things send a strong, silent message. You're not just a customer to me. You're part of my community, and I want to help you. This is totally different from the way big retail stores work, where everything is about efficiency. In a supermarket, it's all about speed and selling as much as possible. Even the checkout is designed to be quick and kind of impersonal. Sure, that's efficient, but it doesn't leave much space for real connection or empathy. The Kirana store is different. It moves at its own pace and puts relationships before transactions. This focus on Seva creates a real emotional bond that no fancy ad campaign or loyalty program can copy. It's a slow, steady process of building trust, one small act of service at a time. In the end, this dedication to Seva becomes the Kirana store's biggest strength. It creates a strong sense of loyalty around the shop that's really hard for bigger, less personal stores to break through. People don't just go to the Kirana store for convenience or price. They go because they feel noticed, understood, and valued. They're not just buying stuff, they're part of a relationship that's built on trust and respect. This is what real marketing is all about, a deep, steady commitment to serving others. In digital marketing today, everyone talks about personalization. Brands really want to make each customer feel special, so they use complicated computer programs and huge amounts of data to try and do this. Big e-commerce companies spend a lot of money to build systems that suggest products you might like, based on what you've searched for, what you've bought before, and even your age or where you live. They want it to feel like you're having a real conversation with the brand, so you think, hey, they really get me. These systems are very impressive, and they can handle more information than any one person ever could. But even with all this technology, they often miss the small details and real feelings that come from human connection. Machines just can't match the warmth of a real person. That's where the Kirana store owner comes in. He's like the original personalization expert, but powered by real human care. He doesn't need any computer code, but still gives each customer a shopping experience that feels just right for them. He doesn't need an app to remember that Mrs. Sharma always buys a certain brand of atta because her husband can't eat gluten, or that Mr. Desai picks up a chocolate bar for his granddaughter every Friday. He just knows because he pays attention and cares. This knowledge isn't saved on a computer. It comes from years of real conversations and noticing the little things. He listens, observes, and remembers what matters to people. He doesn't just remember what people buy, but also why they buy it and the stories behind their choices. This kind of deep understanding helps the Kirana owner serve his customers in ways that no machine can. He can suggest things before you even ask, and his suggestions are always thoughtful, not random. For example, if he hears your child is sick, he might quietly recommend a soup or a home remedy, showing that he truly cares not just about sales. This is personalization at its best, much more than just showing you a related product on a website. It's about thinking ahead and being truly helpful, using real emotional intelligence, and caring about the customer's well-being. This kind of personal touch makes customers feel truly valued. They feel seen and understood in a way that's real, not just computer-generated. The Kirana owner is more than just a shopkeeper. He's a trusted advisor, a careful selector of products, and a steady part of his customers' daily lives. He shows us that real customer focus isn't about having the fanciest technology, but about truly wanting to understand and help each person. It's about serving people as individuals. So remember this: the best personalization engine in the world has always been the caring human heart. You know, every time the Kirana owner helps someone or remembers a regular customer's favorite brand, it's not just good service. It's building something much bigger. Each of these small personal touches adds up, and together they create the Kirana store's strongest asset, a real sense of trust. It's like a fortress, built one brick at a time. In business, trust is actually the most valuable thing you can have. It's what keeps customers coming back, and it's what turns a simple shop into a place people rely on, year after year. For big companies, building trust can be slow, expensive, and honestly, pretty tough. They often have to spend huge amounts on ads and marketing just to get noticed. They might use celebrities or big campaigns to try and look reliable. Basically, they have to shout to be heard and spend a lot just to convince people they're trustworthy. The whole thing is a big effort to make people believe in their brand. But for the Kirana owner, trust grows naturally, from the ground up. It's not about fancy campaigns, it's about being there for people, day after day. Trust is earned by always being reliable, even in small ways, over many years. For example, when the Kirana owner lets a family buy on credit during a tough month, that's real trust in action. Or when he promises the fruits and vegetables are fresh and stands by his word. Or when he gives honest advice, even if it means suggesting a cheaper option or saying, "You don't really need this today." These little actions show real integrity, and customers remember them. Over time, this creates a strong feeling of reliability that sticks in people's minds. It's not just about shopping anymore, it's about being part of a community. That's how the Kirana store becomes more than just a shop. It turns into a hub where people meet, share news, and feel connected. It's a place where neighbors greet each other, catch up, and build real relationships. The owner isn't just a shopkeeper anymore. He becomes a key part of the neighborhood, someone everyone knows and trusts. In a world that's always changing, the Kirana store is a steady, familiar place. This sense of community makes customers even more loyal. When people shop at the Kirana store, they feel like they're supporting a neighbor and helping their own community stay healthy and strong. That's something a big faceless company just can't inspire. This trust acts like a shield, protecting the Kirana store from competition. Even if a new supermarket opens nearby with big discounts, loyal customers usually stick with the Kirana owner. Their choice isn't just about price, it's about years of good service and a real personal connection. They know the Kirana owner truly cares about them, which isn't something you can always say about a big company. So here's the big takeaway. Sure, price and convenience might win a sale, but only trust and a sense of community can win a customer for life. When we talk about how Kirana stores keep their customers coming back, it's not about fancy technology. The real secret is something simple. It's the Kata book, or the old-school ledger. This little book is where the shopkeeper notes down who owes what. It helps regular customers buy on credit, even if they don't have cash right now. This builds a lot of trust and shows flexibility, which is hard to find in big stores. Instead of giving out points or discounts, the Kirana owner offers something more personal. The Kata system is like a loyalty program, but it's based on real needs and real life. It understands that sometimes families have money problems and helps them out. This creates a strong bond between the shop and the customer. So people don't just come back because they owe money. They return because there's respect and a sense of responsibility on both sides. This makes it tough for customers to switch to a supermarket, even if it's cheaper. The connection is not just about money, it's also about feelings and trust. That's why leaving the Kirana store for a big shop isn't easy for most people. The Kata book is actually a smart way to keep customers loyal. It works even better than most digital loyalty programs you see today. Even when paying is a bit difficult, it becomes a chance to build a stronger relationship. Every payment is a moment to connect, not just a transaction. So, what's the lesson here? The best ways to keep customers are simple, human, and based on real trust. That's what makes Kirana stores so special. You know, when someone switches from their local Kirana store to a big supermarket, it's not just about getting a better price. It's really about losing that sense of community. Think about it. At the Kirana, you're greeted by name with a smile. You can buy on credit if you need to, and you always have someone to ask for honest advice. What you really lose is that emotional comfort, leaving behind real relationships and that feeling of belonging. Sure, supermarkets can offer discounts and deals, but they can't match years of genuine caring service. The Kirana shop gives you stability and a sense of community, so leaving it behind often feels much harder than any money you might save. Big companies sometimes forget this and focus only on the logical, practical reasons people shop. But for most of us, it's the emotional connection to the Kirana that really keeps us loyal. Real loyalty comes from feeling connected, not just from what's convenient or easy. You know, the Kirana owner's brand isn't built by running lots of ads. It's built on something much stronger, trust, real trust that comes from how they treat people every day. Every time the shopkeeper helps someone, every time they write down a credit in the Kata book, and every time they give a personal suggestion, their reputation gets stronger in the community. This trust is the real foundation for word-of-mouth marketing. When people trust the shopkeeper, they naturally tell their friends and family about the store. Customers become fans and supporters, recommending the shop to others because they've had good, real experiences there. True brand value comes from being helpful and consistent, not from spending a lot of money on advertising. The Kirana owner focuses on things like honesty, reliability, and caring for people, not just on looking good or having a fancy image. That's what really matters in the long run. This is how deep loyalty is built, loyalty that lasts much longer than any flashy ad campaign. It's the kind of loyalty that doesn't fade away when something new comes along. So, the big lesson here is, real brand value comes from serving people well, not just from catchy slogans or big marketing budgets. You know, at a Kirana store, selling is really personal. The owner actually greets people by their names when they walk in. He suggests products that fit what each person needs, like recommending organic biscuits for Mrs. Verma's son. because he remembers her family. In a way, he's more like a curator than just a shopkeeper, using what he knows about his community to help people make the right choices. For him, every customer is unique, shaped by real conversations, not just numbers or data. This personal touch actually makes shopping decisions easier and adds real value to the experience. In big supermarkets, customers often have to figure things out on their own, but at the Kirana, the owner is there to guide you. He turns shopping into something helpful and human, not just a transaction. The best sales come from understanding people and being of service, not from putting pressure on anyone. You know, big companies often use something called big data to figure out what's happening in their business. They look at lots of numbers and trends to see the bigger picture. But Kirana store owners, they use what we call thick data. This means they try to understand why people do what they do, not just what they buy. Thick data comes from real conversations with customers, face to face, right there in the shop. It's about listening with empathy and really understanding what motivates someone to make a purchase. For example, a Kirana owner knows that Mrs. Verma buys a certain type of biscuit because it's good for her son's health, not just because it's a popular brand. This kind of insight helps the Kirana owner see the real reasons behind people's choices, something you can't always find in numbers or charts. If you don't know the why behind a customer's decision, your marketing can feel boring and miss the point. The Kirana owner's empathy turns all that information into actions that actually matter to people. Real understanding comes from listening to stories, not just looking at spreadsheets. Data without empathy is just noise. It's the human touch that makes all the difference. You know, the Kirana owner's recommendations really stand out. That's because they're genuine, straight from the heart. People trust what he suggests, because it's all about real relationships, not just making a sale. He isn't thinking about sales targets at all. Unlike those suggestions you get from an app or website, his advice feels personal, and you can sense he actually cares. Because of this, he can introduce new products easily. People just listen to him. His word is enough for most customers. In a way, he becomes the most trusted influencer in the whole community. These days, we're surrounded by ads everywhere, so people really look for honest, genuine advice. The Kirana owner earns the right to recommend things by always being helpful and treating everyone with respect. The best kind of marketing is built on trust, not just how loud you can be. You know, the Kirana store's success is really built on something timeless, what we call Seva, or selfless service. But actually, that's just one part of the story. Seva is like the soul of marketing. It brings warmth, empathy, and a real human touch to everything. But if you want to compete today, especially in our fast-moving digital world, you need more than just a good heart. Having soul alone isn't enough. You also need a sharp and disciplined mind to go with it. That's where the idea of Ran Niti comes in. It simply means having a smart strategy, like a plan for a battle. Think of Ran Niti as your blueprint. It's the plan that gives direction to your good intentions. Just like an architect's drawing, it helps you build something strong and meaningful. It takes your passion and turns it into a clear, practical plan. That way, your energy is focused on actions that really work and help you win. In today's digital world, attention is the most valuable thing. Everyone is fighting for it. There are millions of brands, all trying to get noticed at the same time. Each one is hoping to catch even a few seconds of a customer's interest. In all this noise, if you try to please everyone, you'll end up reaching no one. You can't win by shouting at the whole market. You win by picking your battle and focusing on the right people. It's about sending the right message to the right person, not just making noise. For that, you need a clear and careful strategy. The best way to do this is with something called the STP framework. That stands for segmentation, targeting, and positioning. This is the basic strategy for any brand that wants to make a real impact today. Let's look at a modern Indian brand that really got this right. Boat. Boat's real genius wasn't in making new technology, but in how they used the STP strategy so well. First, they started with segmentation. They broke the huge Indian market into smaller groups, using different factors to understand people better. They looked at things like age and income, focusing on young people around 18 to 28 years old who had some money to spend. They also checked where people lived and focused on Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities. where people were using more digital products and wanted new things. Basically, they chose places where their message would really work. Boat also went deeper, looking at people's lifestyles and habits and how they behaved as consumers. They understood their audience was ambitious, loved technology, and felt a strong connection to music and a modern Indian identity. They knew these young people spent time on Instagram and YouTube, followed cricketers and digital influencers, and watched lots of short videos online. By building this detailed picture of their audience, Boat didn't try to compete everywhere at once. Instead, they picked the right place to focus their efforts, where they knew they could really stand out and win. This way, they didn't waste time or money on people who weren't interested. All right. So once a brand figures out exactly who its different types of customers are, the next big step in this whole strategy thing, what we call Raniti, is targeting. Basically, this means picking which groups you actually want to focus on, and then putting your energy and resources into winning them over. Targeting is all about making choices, you know? You can't be everything to everyone, so you decide to be everything to a few special people. It's like saying, I want to be the best for this group, not just okay for everyone. Take Boat, for example. They made a clear choice to go after young, ambitious, and digital-first people. That was the group they really wanted to connect with. And because they were so clear about who they were talking to, every decision after that became much easier, especially when it came to choosing the right channels to reach their audience. Channel strategy just means figuring out where your audience actually spends time, and then showing up there in a way that matters to them. Boat knew their crowd wasn't reading the morning paper or listening to the radio on the way to work. Instead, their audience was waking up and instantly scrolling through social media. Their digital home was Instagram and YouTube, of course. So Boat put almost all their marketing money into these digital spaces, making sure their message popped up right when their audience was most likely to notice. This focused approach meant they got way more value for every rupee they spent on ads, compared to just spreading their budget thin across lots of places. Instead of wasting money on TV ads that their audience might just skip, they invested in the kind of content their audience actually enjoyed. They worked with popular influencers, sponsored music festivals, and made fun, high-energy music videos that felt more like entertainment than ads. They didn't just throw ads onto these platforms, they really got into the vibe and culture of each one, speaking in a style and language that truly clicked with their chosen audience. This is what precise targeting looks like in action. These days, it's not about who spends the most on marketing, but who spends the smartest. By not trying to be everywhere at once, Boat made sure they were super visible exactly where it mattered most. They totally owned the digital spaces where their audience hung out, making themselves feel everywhere and super relevant to that community. Their whole approach was a lesson in focus, showing that even a small, concentrated effort can beat a much bigger one if it's aimed right. It's really about whispering your message into the right ear, instead of just shouting into the void and hoping someone hears you. Now, let's talk about the third and maybe the most important part of the STP framework, positioning. After you figure out who your market is and who you want to focus on, a brand needs to decide what special place it wants to have in the customer's mind. Positioning is really about standing out from the crowd. It's about answering a simple but important question that every customer has. Why should I pick you instead of all the other choices out there? A clear positioning statement is like a guiding star for the brand. It helps the brand decide how to make products, set prices, and talk to customers. Positioning shows what the brand truly stands for and what it promises to its customers. Take Boat, for example. Their positioning was super clear and smart. They explained their value in two simple ways. First, the practical side: good sound, strong build, and a price most people can afford. Their products gave people what they needed for everyday use, without being too expensive. This took care of the logical needs of customers. But what really made a difference was the emotional value Boat offered. Boat didn't just want to be another electronics company. They made their products feel like cool, stylish accessories for your lifestyle. Wearing Boat became a way to show you were modern, confident, and proudly Indian. So buying Boat was not just about getting headphones, it was about making a statement. This smart positioning made Boat stand out from big global brands right away. Other brands like Sony focused on being high-tech and premium. Sennheiser was all about super high-quality sound for people who really cared about audio. Competing with these brands was tough and expensive. Boat chose a different path instead of fighting those battles. They created a whole new space in people's minds, the idea of fashionable, affordable audio wear. This was something their target customers really wanted, and only Boat could truly offer it. In the end, good positioning is about making your competition less important. When you have a unique identity and a strong emotional promise, you create a special place for your brand that you can protect and grow. People weren't just buying headphones from Boat, they were joining a community and showing who they are. This is the biggest lesson of Raniti. Your strategy should help you shape the market, not just study it. It's not only about looking at data and trends, but about making bold moves to stand out. You need the courage to pick your own space to compete in, and the clarity to create a unique position that helps you win a lasting place in your customer's mind. You know, having a great strategy, a sharp Raniti, is really important. But that's just the start. If your plan just sits as a file on your computer, it doesn't mean much, right? What really matters is how quickly and precisely your team can actually put that plan into action. The way a company is set up and the kind of culture it has makes a huge difference in marketing. It's not just about having good ideas, it's about how your people work together to make those ideas real. These days, things change so fast in the market, so the biggest advantage isn't always about being the biggest or richest company. It's about how quickly you can bring your ideas to life, what we call time to market. That means, how fast can you take an idea, develop it, and actually launch it for your customers? This is where you really see the difference between old-school companies and new, digital-first brands. It's kind of like comparing an elephant and a cheetah. Both are strong, but they move in totally different ways. Big, traditional companies are like elephants, powerful but slow. They have a lot of strength and momentum, but all that size can actually slow them down. Decisions in these companies usually follow a strict step-by-step process called the waterfall model. That means you can't move to the next step until the last one is totally finished. So things move slowly, with lots of approvals and paperwork at every stage. There are layers of bureaucracy everywhere, and you need to get sign-off from so many different departments. Plus, people are often afraid to take risks in these big companies. So, if someone has a new marketing idea, it can take months to get from a junior employee all the way up to the boss who can approve it. By then, the chance to make an impact in the market might be gone. Now let's look at a modern Indian startup, especially those brands that sell directly to customers. These companies are built to be fast and flexible, like a cheetah. They use something called Agile, a way of working that helps them move quickly and adapt to change. Agile actually comes from the world of software, but it works great for business too. It means speed and adaptability are top priorities. Teams work in short, quick cycles. These are called sprints, so they can keep improving fast. They might launch a basic version of a product, or run a small test campaign to see what works. Then they collect feedback and real data from customers, learn from it, and quickly change their approach if needed. This way, they can react to changes in the market and to what customers want in just days or weeks, not months or years. This difference in how companies are organized isn't just about process, it's really about culture. Agile companies give their teams the power to make decisions on their own, so small groups from different backgrounds can work together and move fast. They don't have to wait for endless approvals. They can just get things done. These teams are encouraged to take action, not just talk about ideas forever. And if they make a small mistake, it's seen as a chance to learn, not a disaster. This mindset helps everyone grow and get better at what they do. Being able to decide, act, learn, and adapt quickly is what lets the cheetah beat the elephant in today's business world. So the way your organization is built is actually a big part of your marketing strategy, not something separate. It's the engine that can either drive your plans forward or hold you back. You know, having a good heart, what we call Seva, and a sharp mind or Raniti is really important. But even these two things together aren't always enough to make you succeed. You also need a body, a real plan of action, to help you move forward on your journey. This is where the idea of a marketing plan comes in. But think of it this way. A marketing plan isn't just a boring company document. It's more like a yatra, a special journey or pilgrimage that you plan with care. A yatra is a journey with a clear purpose. To go on this journey, you need to prepare well. You need to know where you want to go, have a map to guide you, and carry the right things to help you along the way. Without these, even the best intentions and smartest ideas can leave you feeling lost. If you don't have a proper plan, you might end up wandering without direction, no matter how good your goals are. The first and most important part of your marketing yatra is your destination. This means your main business objective, the big goal you want to reach. If your goal is too vague, like we want to be number one or we want to grow sales, it doesn't really help. You need something clearer. A goal like that doesn't give you a clear finish line or direction. To make your destination meaningful, you should use the SMART framework. Your goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This way, your big dream becomes a real target that everyone in your team can work towards together. For example, just saying we want to grow our business is not enough. A SMART goal would sound like this. We want to get a 15% market share in wireless earbuds in Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities of Western India within the next 18 months. This kind of goal is strong because it's clear and leaves no confusion. It's specific. Market share for earbuds in a certain place, measurable, 15% achievable. It's tough but possible, relevant because it helps your business grow, and time-bound, 18 months. Having this kind of clarity is the best way to start any journey. If you don't have a clear goal, your marketing efforts can lose direction. Teams might work separately, activities may not match your business goals, and you could waste time and money on things that don't really help. Your yatra could turn into a random walk instead of a meaningful journey. So, setting SMART goals is the most important first step to turn your vision into something real. It's like planting a flag on a faraway mountain and saying, "That's where we're going." And you and your team can move forward with confidence, knowing exactly what you're working towards. So once you know exactly where you want to go, that's your special destination. The next thing you need for your yatra is a map. Basically, a plan for how you'll get there. This map is all about the steps and route you'll actually take to reach your goal. In marketing, your map is made up of your big picture strategy and the smaller practical tactics you'll use. The ran-nati you've worked out, like segmentation, targeting, and positioning, gives you that overall direction. Think of it as your main map, showing you which area you're playing in and how you want to stand out. It tells you exactly which territory you're competing in and what unique spot you want to claim in that space. It's like looking at your plan from way up high, seeing the big picture. But, a map isn't much help if you don't know the actual turns and paths to take each day. These are the small regular actions you'll do, your daily and weekly moves. We call these your tactics. Tactics are the real, practical things you do to make your strategy come alive. For example, if your strategy is to reach young music fans on Instagram, your tactics might be making a content calendar with different types of posts, planning out when to work with influencers, running special ads during big festivals like Diwali, and offering student discounts at the start of the school year. Tactics are the on-the-ground activities that keep you moving along your chosen path. And finally, no yatra is possible without the right supplies. In business, your supplies are your budget and your resources. If you don't have a budget, your plan is just a wish. You need to decide how much money goes to each tactic, and most importantly, you need a way to check if your spending is actually working. The main thing to track here is your marketing return on investment, or ROI. ROI is just a simple formula where you take the profit from your marketing, subtract what you spent, divide by the total marketing cost, and then multiply by 100 to get a percentage. This kind of careful planning and measurement is what really sets professional marketers apart from the rest. A good marketing yatra plan makes sure every action has a purpose, and every rupee you spend is tracked. It connects your big vision to what you actually do every day, making sure your destination, your main objective, your map, strategy and tactics, and your supplies, budget and ROI are all working together in sync. When you plan your journey with this kind of care, You're much more likely to handle any challenges that come up along the way and actually reach your goal, feeling proud of what you've achieved. Imagine you've planned a big journey. You have your destination, a map, and everything you need packed and ready. But even with all this preparation, things can still go wrong. If you don't really understand the place you're going, your plan might fail. Sometimes plans ignore what's actually happening on the ground. They forget about things like local culture, people's tastes, and what customers really need. And honestly, that's a recipe for disaster. Let me share a story that shows why this is so important. There's a famous idea in marketing called marketing myopia, explained by Professor Theodore Levitt. Marketing myopia means being short-sighted in business. It's when companies only focus on their own products or their own way of working and forget to think about what customers actually want. They miss the real needs and feelings of the people they hope to serve. Here's a classic example of this mistake. A big, successful food company from North India wanted to grow even more. They were doing great in their home market and felt confident. So they decided to launch a fancy, ready-to-eat frozen paneer dish in Chennai, a big city in the south. On paper, their plan looked perfect. The market was huge, people were earning more money, and their product was really good quality. The company's leaders, sitting far away in their head office, saw a spreadsheet full of millions of possible customers and thought, everyone will love our product. But they were using a map for a totally different place. That was a big mistake. The product launch failed badly. Even after spending a lot on marketing, people just weren't interested. The freezers in the stores stayed full of unsold products. The company made a classic marketing mistake. They didn't do basic research to understand the local people. They never actually spoke to customers in Chennai to learn about their culture, how they cook, or what food means to them. The company was so sure their product was the best, they forgot to ask if anyone actually wanted it. This showed a real lack of empathy for the customer. If they had done their homework, they would have learned something important. For many people in Chennai, good paneer means fresh local paneer, usually bought on the same day it's cooked. Making special dishes at home is a tradition, a way to show love. It's about family and culture. So the frozen paneer didn't feel like a helpful modern idea. People saw it as something fake, industrial, and not needed. The company's product was fine, but their image was all wrong. This happened because they didn't see things from the customer's point of view. You know, this whole paneer launch story is actually a perfect example of what can go wrong with top-down planning. It really shows us the risks when decisions are made only at the top, without listening to people on the ground. The whole plan was cooked up in a fancy boardroom, far away from the real world where customers actually live. The people making the decisions were so distant from the market they wanted to serve. Instead of listening to customers, the executives just kept agreeing with each other, building up their own ideas and biases without really checking if they matched reality. They missed out on the quiet but important voice of the customer, which is what really matters. For them, the market was just numbers and charts, not real people with their own lives and needs. They forgot that a market is actually a living, breathing community, full of its own culture, values, and habits that you can't see on a spreadsheet. When your plan doesn't match reality, things are bound to go wrong. That's why failure was almost certain in this case. These kinds of mistakes happen when a company plans its journey without thinking about Seva, the spirit of genuine service. The plan just didn't have any empathy in it. It was all about the company's own goals to grow and expand, not about actually helping customers with what they need. They started with their own solution, the frozen paneer dish, and tried to fit it to a problem that customers didn't even have. Local people just weren't looking for what they were selling. A better way would have been to start with the customer and really try to understand what people in Chennai actually wanted. They could have asked simple questions like, how can we make life easier for a busy family in Chennai? What kind of food problems do they actually face? How can we help them celebrate their traditions in a way that's more convenient for them? If they had been genuinely curious and wanted to serve, they might have come up with a totally different product. Maybe it would have been a great spice mix for a traditional dish, or a fresh paste that made cooking easier for everyone. The best solutions always come from understanding the customer's real world, not just from what a company already has on its shelves. This is why it's so important to bring in the wisdom of local shopkeepers, the people who really know their customers and community. Their ground-level knowledge, what we call thick data, is all about empathy and real understanding, and it should be part of any big plan. Good planning means listening to both the people in the head office and the people out on the street. You need both perspectives to make a plan that actually works. It's about seeing things from the top and from the ground level. So the biggest lesson here is to stay humble. No matter how big your company is or how impressive your strategy looks on paper, never assume you know more than your customer. Always test your plan in the real world and be ready to change it if needed. Plans should be flexible so you can adjust when things don't go as expected. Sometimes the map just doesn't match the real terrain, and that's okay. The best marketers aren't the ones with the strictest plans, but the ones who listen carefully and keep learning. They always try to understand things from the ground up and make sure their strategies truly help the people they want to reach. Now that we've traveled from the humble Kirana store all the way to the digital world, let's pause and think. Where does this journey leave you? If you're hoping to become a business leader or a marketer, what should you take away from all this? Actually, it means you're just at the start of your own journey, your own yatra. Your job isn't just about picking between old ways and new ones. It's not a choice between tradition and technology. You don't have to decide between the warmth of a Kirana store owner's heart or the cool, logical thinking of a big company. The real challenge, and the big opportunity, is to bring the best of both together. You want to become someone who can mix and match these strengths, a master integrator, a leader who bravely combines the best ideas from both worlds to create something even better. That's how you build a new, stronger kind of business. First, you need to really understand the idea of Seva, the soul. This means you truly care about serving your customer. It's about building a deep, honest commitment to helping people, not just making sales. You want empathy to be part of your company's DNA, so every decision is made with the customer in mind. Whether it's designing a product or helping someone at the counter, always see things from their point of view. This is what gives your brand real character and makes people trust you. It's the human touch that builds loyalty, and it's the foundation for trust in your business. People stay loyal not because of discounts, but because they feel valued. That's something price or promotions alone can't do. When you build this kind of business, people genuinely want to see you succeed. Next, you need to get good at Raniti, the mind. This is all about strategy. You have to use data, think clearly, and plan carefully for every challenge you face. It's about being smart and precise in your approach. Use tools like segmentation, targeting, and positioning to make sure your message stands out and reaches the right people. Focus your energy and resources where they'll make the biggest difference. This way, your passion is used wisely, not wasted. Everything you do fits into a clear, practical plan, so you can outsmart and outpace your competition. This kind of thinking gives your good intentions a real path to success. It helps you win in a world where everyone is trying to get ahead. And finally, you need to focus on your yatra, the body. This is about putting your plans into action. Even the best ideas and intentions don't matter if you can't act quickly and with purpose. You need to build and lead teams that are flexible, disciplined, and ready to adapt. This means making detailed plans but also being ready to change them if needed. Your organization should be able to move fast and handle whatever comes its way. Make sure your goals are clear and measurable, and that you know how to track your progress. Every action should have a purpose, and every resource should be used wisely. This kind of agile execution is what turns your vision and strategy into real results you can see in the world and makes your journey a true achievement. You know, one of the biggest challenges in marketing today is actually pretty interesting. It's not just about having the latest technology or collecting loads of data. The real goal isn't to just copy the Kirana store and make a million of them everywhere. It's not as simple as just building more shops and hoping for the best. If we did that, we'd actually be missing the whole point. The real challenge for us, and for you, is to figure out how to scale the trust that a Kirana store creates. It's about taking that feeling of being known, valued, and truly cared for, and somehow making sure millions of people can feel that too, all at once. That's really what modern marketing is all about now. This is what makes your job as a marketer so exciting and important. In fact, you could even call it your professional dharma, your purpose. And dharma isn't just a fancy word for purpose. It's about who you are and the path you choose. It's your true nature, the direction you want to walk in. As a marketer, your dharma is to really notice what people need, just like a Kirana owner does. It's about being observant and empathetic, just like the shopkeeper in your neighborhood. But it's also about being smart and strategic, like the people who build big brands. You need both, a caring heart and a sharp mind. The best organizations aren't just quick and efficient, they're also kind and ethical. It's about making sure your business is good for people, not just for profits. So use all the amazing tools you have, not just to sell, but to help, connect, and make a real difference in people's lives. That's what makes this journey meaningful for you and for everyone you serve. And remember, you don't have to pick between profit and purpose, or between data and empathy. You can have both. You can build a business that's smart and caring at the same time. It's not about choosing between scale and soul. It's about finding the right balance. Your real job is to bring all these things together in harmony. Use big data to discover new insights, but also have real conversations and listen to people to understand what those insights really mean. Build systems that can grow and reach many, but always add a human touch with real care and connection. The best businesses aren't just successful, they're also valuable to society, and people trust them. They become pillars of trust in their communities. So as you go out into the world, keep these lessons close. Remember the kindness of the Kirana owner, the smart strategies of digital leaders, and the discipline it takes to plan and follow through. Your goal is to build trust at a big scale, so everyone feels valued, not just a few. Use technology to listen better, use strategy to stay focused, and use good planning to get things done well. Build brands that people don't just buy from, they actually believe in them. That's your purpose, that's your challenge, and that's your dharma.